that is not partisan, and that is not opinion, that is just fact. And that's the most
No
important.
breaking the fourth wall in the halls.
One more element is, for days, my colleague Ken Delaney and I have been on this trail of hearing sources.
Let's go to the farm.
And material was going to be presented before a grand jury after Eric Seibert, the U.S. attorney, was essentially forced out of the U.S. attorney's office under pressure to either resign or get kicked to the curb. And so we knew a grand jury was going to be meeting, and we knew that presentations were going to be made. We confirmed that it would be today, but we knew it was going to be as early as today. And indeed, that's exactly what happened. I was about to leave the office at, 6:30, and got pings from various people saying, Comey's been indicted on 2 counts. And Comey's reaction, forgive me, you asked the question about his reaction. It reminds me of, it's very similar to what he's said in the past. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be indicted. I'm not worried because I trust our justice system. I trust our judges. I trust that facts will be weighed by the people. And he's definitely speaking as a person who does not have fear, but is deeply disappointed.
Joyce, you spent, as I noted, 25 years as a federal prosecutor. When you were nominated for your position,
you win.
Republican members of the United States Senate signed off to underscore your ability to do the job.
Did you know the
Senate hearing on September 30th.
You did was over. It will never end. See you soon. See you soon now. See you soon now.
Act quickly. He's made this very clear that he wanted to here, and that is something that potentially could come back to bite the prosecutors. President that we've seen for decades now, but the White House has not been involved in Justice Department action.
You found all 7 notebooks. All you need to do is while you're still
Oh no! No, go Gordy first. No! The body's conspiracy of yoga. Detox says so. Not me. No.
I suppose some urgency on the part of the president to get moving.
Whoa. You woke. Whoa. You woke. Very hot. Whoa. Wow. You working very hard. Very tough. You tough. So.
Being the subject of Donald Trump and more broadly,
That's cool looking.
funding Democrats for
Thank you for
office.
stopping by.
Donald Trump is trying to
Time for
curse assassination.
Time for bye-bye. Time for bye-bye. Time for bye-bye.
Linking his death to that, and yet this is something he's been describing as a basis for a
See you
charge.
later now.
Doesn't have any prosecutorial experience, and this is not the only reason that presidents aren't supposed to be directing and advising the Department of Justice.
You know, Joyce, Mark Elias, who is an attorney, he has appeared on our network a number of times. We had him on our show the weeknight just yesterday. And he himself is an attorney that has been targeted by Donald Trump, both in the first Trump administration and now. His law firm was one of the
Whoa.
This is the first cream that I did bottom of the
What
jar
other
steps.
problem do I
This is
put?
all over my feet, but will it really live up to expensive skincare?
our show yesterday. And he said, true, it is not it doesn't matter. A point to be celebrated that these investigations go forward. These individuals, whether it be James Comey, Attorney General Letitia James, Adam Schiff, whomever, George Soros, the Open Society Foundation, they go forward and there's no there, and nothing comes of it. That is not a win, that is not justice. Real justice would be that these cases were not brought in the first place because there is no footing undergirding their reasoning. I'm wondering what your take is on that. As someone who had to make the decision on whether to bring indictments, on whether to bring charges, on the kinds of cases to try throughout your career.
Case lightly, you don't open an investigation lightly because simply by virtue of the fact that you open an investigation, someone's life gets literally turned upside down. Their family is impacted by it. Their friends, their job, their livelihood can be impacted. Even in a situation where the investigation doesn't result in indictments, prosecutors are careful to go forward only when there's credible reason to believe that a crime has been committed, and they only begin to look at someone as a subject or a target of that investigation when there's strong evidence that leads them that way. You can't really put the genie back in the bottle once there's been certainly a criminal indictment. There will be who will further better the outcome of this case that Jim Comey did what he's accused of doing. The reputational damage is immense. point, and it's incredibly important in this context because it's the President of the United States who's using the power of government, the power that's invested in the executive branch for personal revenge. Donald Trump has been very clear when he's spoken on Twitter or spoken publicly that he wants to go after these people. And, you know, let's just assume for a second, I don't agree that Jim Comey is sort of the serial killer, worst thing that ever happened, that Donald Trump is out. We don't indict people in this country for being bad. We indict them for specific crimes. We charge them. Prosecutors present evidence to a jury. And if they committed those specific crimes, then a jury will convict them and they will be punished accordingly. We don't divide the country into good people and bad people, folks the president likes and folks he doesn't, and then use the power of prosecution, which is the power to take away somebody's life, liberty, and their livelihood. We don't do that in this country unless conditions are met that show that they're involved in a crime.
Jovan.
Resigned as a federal prosecutor from the Justice Department.
Right now,
Susan.
getting along with us in this fun
Backdrop of the argument that the White House is saying their defense is here. You know, it appears to be that they're saying weaponization is fine when Donald Trump does it. Caroline Levin, who's the White House press secretary, she said earlier this week,
Oh no!
weaponizing the DOJ to demand
Time,
accountability
hello.
for those who
Would you like
weaponize
to,
the
would you
DOJ.
like to patch up with us?
That the Department of Justice was weaponized. I think that we can see the president requesting something.
Eat
It
Jenny
happened. The
to
president requesting
no
indictments.
box
The
before
indictment just came. The president
stores.
saying things about folks like Jimmy Kimmel. Something happens to Jimmy Kimmel's show. Is this argument really going to have the muscle with the American people?
A lot of what Trump allies are saying at this point is they say the president faced challenges to himself. You know, in that summer before he ran for office, they want to see that happen now to people that became his enemies. And they say, let these trials play out. You saw the president say himself last weekend that Mr. And at the same time, he posted, you know, that shit, James Comey, he described them as hell, and that's a quote there. But something that I'm watching is the president signed a presidential memorandum today saying that he wants to see the Justice Department investigate far-left domestic terrorism, and he specifically named
Does he
people.
describe
He avoided describing it very directly, but he was asked about it by reporters. He did name Reid Hoffman, somebody we've already mentioned tonight, a Democratic donor, also George Soros. Dan Bobby, one comment directly, everything is on the table. So they are signaling that there's more names to come, and we could expect more.
Shut up.
Before we go, Joyce, in the time
Give
we
me
have left
something
tonight,
great.
I do want to note the New York Times reports that the Department of Justice has actually instructed half a dozen U.S. attorneys' offices to draw up plans to, as Carol noted, to investigate
The bullying in the home.
George Soros.
No.